Alright, so it's been a while since I first showed you the Chimera7 Pro in sort of a side-by-side with the original Chimera 7. And if you missed that video, I'll link it in the video description if you want to see me go over all the differences. What it really boils down to is the big difference is the motors. So you have a 2809 sized motor at 1250 kV on the Pro. And then the original, it's a 2806 and a half at 1300 kV. 7-inch prop on the original, 7.5-inch prop on the Pro, and the frame is virtually identical. Now you have these side pieces here, covers on the Pro version that the original didn't come with. Although I think these are available for purchase separately, so you could add it to the original, I'm pretty sure. Now, as I said, the frames are pretty much identical, so one of the questions I had was, can you use a 7.5-inch prop on the original? And I don't see any reason why you couldn't, because the arms are the same length, so you could do that, but then you're kind of overtaxing the 2806.5 motor. So, the thing that people were pointing out to me was that this Pro version is kind of useless because it's inefficient. And for long range, that wouldn't make any sense. And if you just look at it, comparing the same battery, it is less efficient. So this is a 3300 milliamp hour 6S that I typically fly the original on, and I get about 19 minutes, 20 minutes of flight time on this, depending on the conditions and how I'm flying and just cruising around. That's what I typically get on the original. Now, when I put it on this new Pro version with the bigger motors, I do get less flight time. I get roughly 15 to 16 minutes. I lose about 3 or 4 minutes of flight time on this battery, on this setup here, because it is a bigger motor with a bigger prop. So if you're using the same battery, overall, yes, it is a little bit less efficient because you're going to be draining the battery faster. So what's the whole point of getting this then? Well, I asked around, and the reason they're calling this the Pro version is for people that actually fly long range and for super long distances. So the advantage of this setup here is not with this smaller battery. This 3300 milliamp hour battery is not the best case battery for this in terms of efficiency and long flight times. What they designed this Pro version for is for those professional long range pilots that are actually building their own large packs, and they're using like lithium ion cells, and not the 18650s that you would typically see. These I can't even find where to buy these. They're 21700 cells. Typically they're DIY packs that are built by these pilots, and so they're 21700 cells, basically 12 cells built in a 6S 2P pack. And I think those 21700 cells are like 5,000 milliamp hours. I've seen a few that are in the 4,000 to 5,000 milliamp hour. So if you put this into a 6S 2P setup, it's going to be like a 8,000 to 10,000 milliamp hour pack. Way more battery than this 3,300 milliamp hour battery. But the thing is that battery weighs a ton. It's like 900 grams. It's ridiculously heavy. So in order to carry that much battery, you need a much bigger motor, and that's what this is for. So for those of the guys that are really serious about going for 30 minutes plus, they're building these special packs that I can't even find where to buy them. They're basically DIY packs, 21700 cells in a 6S 2P setup. Very heavy, but you need a bigger motor, bigger prop to carry that weight. The original, with a smaller motor and smaller prop, is not enough to carry those bigger batteries. So that's the difference. I don't have access to those batteries to test that, and I don't even know how to build that myself. I know you have to use a spot welder and all that. I'm not even going to bother because it's just not my thing, and I really not interested in flying for 40 minutes, and I don't do that kind of mountain surfing. So yes, it is less efficient if you're comparing apples to apples on the same battery, but this bigger setup here is meant for a much bigger, much heavier battery that the smaller motor is not really going to be able to handle that well. That being said, I did fly it quite a bit on this 3300 pack, you know, getting 15-minute flights. I took a trip up to San Francisco and went up to PCH, hit a bunch of spots. I'll show you some clips here. I'm not going to post any of the full flights. I'll make them available to my Patreons. If any of you guys are Patreons want to see those, I'll put those up there. But I'll put some clips up here, you know, maybe I'm already showing them in the edit while I'm talking about this. But yeah, you know, in terms of how this flies compared to the original, because of the bigger motor prop setup on this, basically a smaller battery, it feels a lot more powerful. Like it just has a lot more agility and capability and more control, just because it is just a more powerful setup all around. Pid tune is very good, even with this smaller battery. I don't think it's intended for this one. I think they're actually intending it for like a 5500 6S, which is much bigger, which I don't have. But the pid tune seems totally good on this one. As you can see in the footage, you know, it's totally fine. I didn't feel like I was having any issues with oscillations or vibrations or anything like that. iFlight, as usual, they've done a very good job pid tuning this, and even though this one has the new BMI 270 gyro, no issues with that whatsoever. They've obviously retuned this for the new gyro with the proper filters and everything, and it's you know, it flies really well. I feel like I have very good control, and it just, you know, I get very good footage out of this. So the main difference for me on this battery is I have a little bit more power, a little bit more agility, a little bit less flight time compared to the original, but I can still get the same fantastic footage I can get from the original. Now, you know, if you're just going to be flying like a smaller pack like me, I would say this Pro version is not going to be for you. I would get the original with the 2806.5 motor and just deal with the 10 to 15 minute flight times. Totally fine with that. You know, I mean, I'm good with 10 minute flight times, but if you're, you know, looking for more professional long range, 30-minute flight times plus, and you're one of those guys that can build those DIY 21700 packs, that this is going to be able to deal with a lot better, then yeah, go for this one, because that's what the long range guys are doing. They're actually, you know, this came about because people were buying the original Chimera7 and then not putting the 2806 motors on. They're putting, like, I think the more popular size was the 2808 size, I believe. So this 2809 is actually a little bit bigger than what most people are actually going for. But I think in that case, it's going to be able to carry even more battery. So, you know, again, I didn't do any of this testing with the bigger packs because I don't have access to that kind of stuff. But that's really what I'm being told is, you know, if you're going to be getting this, you're going to want to be carrying a lot of battery, a lot of weight. And that's what the bigger motors are meant for. And when you're carrying that extra weight, that extra battery, you're going to get that extra flight time. So, you know, that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to, you know, obviously keep flying this one. And I am going to give away the old 7-inch frame from, I forget that video. It was a custom build that I put together a while back. I will post that on my Instagram. So, yeah, those of you guys are rushing down to the comments about this. I've mentioned the word giveaway. It won't be on here. It'll be on my Instagram, and I will, yeah, you'll just have to wait for it to pop out. I'm not sure when I'm going to put it out. Just depends on when I'm ready to do that. And that'll be a 7-inch frame giveaway over on my Instagram. But yeah, you know, I will have, you know, a long-term review on this Chimera7 PRO later on. Yes, it's a great platform for doing, you know, that kind of long, kind of cruisy type flights, kind of like, you know, and it has a really fast cruising speed. It's actually a little higher cruising speed compared to the original Chimera7, but not that much difference. I prefer to fly slower anyway, and it's just totally fine for that. It has really good control. You can fly fast or slow all around. It's very good. Anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed these little clips, some of the footage I've showed you, some of the places I flew at. If you want to see the full flights, join my Patreon. It's linked down in the video description. And check out the Chimera7 PRO down in the video description as well. Obviously, I think it's only being sold at iFlight right now, but there might be links later on at Pyrojone and Race Day Quads, etc. Some of the other favorite stores. I'll add those down there when they are available. So if you don't see that today, then maybe check back later, and those will be down in the video description. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Talk to you guys later.